good morning to you. Thank you so much. Sorry for finding time to be with us. This morning, the show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to have you join us this day. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuned and joining us from. I'll take us through the headlines quickly, and then we'll go to the conversation that we shall be having today. The Star newspaper, the main headline, why Raila Ruto can't rest easy over power duel. That story is on page 4 and 5. Mithini, where squatters feel safer in bushes than houses. That story is on page 2. Ebola virus, like Marburg, prompts World Health Organization to place Kenya on alert. That is on page 3. And then prosecution closes its case in Monica murder trial. That is on page 9. And of course, the main pictorial, Kenyatta rebukes a deputy defense Unga subsidy. That story is on page 6, and we shall look at that, the politics of Unga, I suppose. And then we go to the Standard newspaper. Inside Uhuru's deal on Ugali, just days after word leaked on plan to slash cost of maize flour. Details of high-stake negotiations have emerged as cost of living takes center stage in campaigns. That story is on page 4 and 5 on the Standard newspaper. Teachers push for 60% pay increase. You'll find that on page 7. Kenya Army gets new commander in military promotions. That is on page 14. Fuel subsidy set to end in 3 months. That is on page 5. And Mary Moraa leads 800 meters charge. That is on page 54 and 56. And it will cost 971 million Kenya shillings to get Kigame on ballot. IEBC says it may be forced to postpone elections if it has to include musician Reuben Kigame on presidential ballot. That is on page 7 on the Standard newspaper. And then we move on to the Daily Nation. The main headline, Raila vows to repossess Ruto land. The grants. In a letter to Lands Minister and Anti-Corruption Agency, Azimio claims the Deputy President irregularly acquired 2,500 acres of Taita Taveta and once title deed held pending setting up of a commission of inquiry. That story is on page 7. KNUT demands 60% pay rise for teachers. You find that on the Burke page. Hits and misses in Rigathi and Karua exchange. And I think we looked at some of that yesterday. That is on page 8. And Uhuru to his deputy, keep politics away from Unga. That is on page 4. And pair of shots found in Maribe house had murder victims' blood. That is on page 10. And quickly, I want to see if I can get some newspapers. Yes, from across Africa. We start with New Day from Zimbabwe. I'm not going anywhere, ED. Okay. And the Daily News also from Zimbabwe. ED, VP together, Charamba averse. And then the Guardian from that is from Nigeria. Buhari endorses party's Muslim ticket, confident of 2023. And the Nation from Nigeria, Tinubu on Shetima have made hard best choice. And then the Guardian from the UK, blue on blue dogfight as Sunak and Truss face off. And the Daily Telegraph still from the UK, advantage Truss in the race to be PM. And then the New Vision from Uganda, inside Museveni Mao agreement. And I saw that trending this morning. And the Daily Monitor, Makerere to ban political parties. That is on page 10 and 11 on the Daily Monitor. And the Citizen from Tanzania, why police reforms were inescapable. Okay. And then the Daily News also from Tanzania, police reshuffle heralds reforms. Very well. So that is what we have. And some of the papers from Kenya and others from across Africa, and indeed the rest from the UK. Thank you so much. You're now up to date. I'm joined this morning by Gladwell Kirago from Kiambu or Nairobi. She will tell us. Gladwell, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to Miriam. A very good morning to my fellow panelists. Good morning to our viewers coming live from Kiambu County.
Okay, very good morning to you, Gladwell. And we are also joined by Kiptanui Savania. Yesterday he was on transit, I think, from Nakuru to Eldoret. I don't know if he's in Eldoret today or where he is. But Kiptanui, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam. I was not actually going to Eldoret. I was
you're coming
going to Molo.
Oh, you are going to Molo?
Yeah.
Okay.
was going to Molo. A very good morning to you. Good morning to my fellow correspondents. Good afternoon good afternoon to those who are watching us all over the world. I'm today joining you from Nakuru CBD, Miriam, and I will bring you up to date on yesterday's events.
All right.
Can I bring or later?
Later. Let me just finish up with the introduction, and then you will start us off with that update, and then we will get into the the subject of the day. Douglas Kirimi from Meru County. Good morning to you.
Very good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu, and also to my friends and my co-panelists, and also to our friends across the world. Good afternoon, good evening, and also good morning, depending on where they're watching us from. Miriam, thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Samuel Tawish, a journalist from Nairobi, and our correspondent and in-house analyst, Samuel Tawish. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for finding time to being with us today.
Very good morning indeed to you, Miriam Ogutu from our head office. Good morning to my colleague panelist, that is Douglas Bundi Kirimi, as well as Gladwell and Kip Tanui, and all our viewers watching this program in Africa and the rest of the world. My pleasure to join you on this program this morning. Good morning, Miriam.
All right, good morning, and thank you so much. So before we get into the nitty-gritties of the details of some of the stories I want us to look at, Kip Tanui, maybe you could just bring us that update, we get that out of the way, and then now we can get into the conversations that we should be having this morning. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for having me this morning. Yesterday, I got out of Nakuru and I decided to visit Molo, and I took my daladala from town towards the Salga, towards the Kibunja, then to Molo. I want to bring you this up to date news, very good news, Miriam. One is the road. Since time immemorial, we've been actually experienced a lot of accidents along Nakuru Eldoret Highway and at a hotspot called Sachangwan. But Miriam, based on the photos I shared yesterday, up there you can see the road is now okay. They have been subdivided into two. There is no longer a careless overtaking along this road. There are very big blocks that has been erected along this road. So the accidents has been reduced tremendously, and we thank Uhuru Kenyatta for doing a good job, Miriam. Miriam, another thing is that from Kibunja to Molo is almost 5 kilometers. The road which was passing along the forest, Miriam, has been tarmacked, and people are so grateful. Farmers, you remember there was a Molo milling around there, and we have Kenya Breweries stores over there in Molo. So farmers are very happy about the tarmacking of that road, Miriam. I passed through that road also to the Molo town. Molo, Miriam, in subsequent years, since 1987, after every 5 years, since we started even elections in this country, Miriam, every 5 years, people are not happy because after elections, post-election violence. After elections, a sequence of post-election violence. And I had a great time of interacting with people. And I asked them, Miriam, since 2013 up to now, what are your views? People are so happy about the leadership of Uhuru Kenyatta, Miriam, since that 2013. There is a photograph, if you see on those photographs I shared yesterday, I visited another butchery there. They had a painting of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto from 2013 to 2017. No, now, Miriam, I actually wanted to know what is the view of these people, because we are now in the election year. What are your views? And people are still worried, Miriam. People, they don't remember the violence from 2013 to 2017. They say there was transition, a good transition. There have been peace from 2013 up to now. But we are worried of these elections. They are so polarized. Why, Miriam? Miriam, 80% of the people in Molo are farmers, and they are farmers, but they live in town. They are not living in their farms. Since 2007, 2008, Miriam, post-election violence, people have not gone back to live their farms, because those houses were tortured during those days. There are no houses over there, so they live in town. You just go to your farm, you just come back to town. Go to your farm, come back to town. Miriam, I interacted also with traders. The business is booming there. Miriam, carpenters, there is a grocery there selling avocados, melon, bananas, and I try to know what are your views. They tell me, Tanui, every 5 years, after 4 years we do business. After when we are approaching election, some of our people even have gone as far as Kiambu to go and hide for themselves, Miriam. And I felt so bad that we, after every 5 years, we are experiencing this. Now, Miriam, there is one time you had the Asimio candidate, Raila Odinga, when he was in Molo. He told those people, immediately I take power, it will take you to your farms. Miriam, how are we going to take these people to their farms? And there is no security. I visited another police station over there, Miriam. There is no car. Imagine a whole police station, like also in Nasrud. There is no police car. So there are a lot of challenges around there. So I want to call upon the Ministry of Interior through our Repossess Matiangi to make sure he establishes a lot of security there for the people to do their businesses. Miriam, when you see Molo, it has developed from 2013 to 2017. There was a very big building, which was NHIF, NSSF, and people are very happy. The roads have been tarmacked, Nakuru, Kisumu Railway, it's okay, everything is okay. But people are crying on this piece. Miriam, Molo is the most cosmopolitan place in Nakuru. We have Kisi, Maasai, Kikuyu, Luo, who have been living there. Some of them even they come all the way from Nyamira to come and farm their farms and go back to Nyamira. So I want to call upon the government to see what they are going to do. And what is happening, Miriam, is that the center of all this violence is that it is us. What are we preaching? Lastly, Miriam, Molo, lastly, it happened that I attended another ceremony which was being led by the governor of this great city. You know, this is a city right now. Molo was being given a charter to be a municipality. The last time they were in Gilgil giving out the charter as a municipality. And Miriam, I was very much impressed. I was very happy, man, that now we have this is Nakuru city. Our brothers and sisters in Molo are now having their own municipality. Miriam, those photographs you can see I shared, we had chiefs, we had all the administrations over there. So Miriam, because I know we are moving towards these topics, I will come after subsequence to debunk some lies. I saw my brother from Tuga, William Ruto, saying, spreading yesterday about the chiefs, about the deals. When I come back to as we are moving on with this show, I will actually bring you to that update.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kiptanui Sivania, for that update. And I think whatever you're saying right now, I think is quite timely. Every 5 years is like we get into the stupid phase where a Kenyan I've lived with for a very long time, all of a sudden, this person is an enemy, and some Kenyans, it is sad that some Kenyans still have to feel unsafe where they call home, and they find a need to move to areas where they feel they will be much safer. I think that is sad, and the issues you've raised there, hopefully the authorities
Miriam,
are watching. Yeah.
there is one thing I forgot. I met a very old man. Actually, he used to work in Elbagon. Elbagon is some distance from Molo. He used to work in forest, and he told me. I asked him about Rigathi Gachagua. Miriam, that old man shed tears. I asked him, he told me that is the guy when he was here. Our people were massacred mercilessly. Our people were killed. We lost our land. That is why I have my land in Mola and I cannot go there. So Miriam, I think there is a problem there. People actually are so much seeing these things as if they are recurring. Because the same person who was there in 1992 during YK 92 is running for president. His deputy was their special deal over there. So there are great problems. Thank you. Okay. That is what I had forgotten.
All right. People are still traumatized. Those are just signs of trauma, and even a lot of Kenyans who suffered after the 2007-2008 post-election violence, a lot of Kenyans have not healed, so anything can trigger them to go back to that sad part, and a lot of Kenyans' lives were affected. So it's a very sensitive matter, and hopefully the Ministry of Interior and the organs responsible for the security of this country can ensure that Kenyans are safe where they are, and Kenyans should be made to feel safe. So hopefully someone responsible will respond to that. Thank you so much, Kiptanui Savania, for that. And I know our topic this morning, we have so much to look at. as far as IEBC is concerned and the new challenge that IEBC has to deal with. But we can't start on that conversation before we look at President Uhuru Kenyatta's State of the Nation address yesterday, on matters UNGA, I think politics of UNGA, and then we will get right back into the conversation on IEBC and the preparedness as far as elections is concerned. On page 6 of the Star newspaper, President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday rebuked his deputy William Ruto for his continued criticism of the government over the high cost of living, calling him a grumbler without solutions. Uhuru also insisted that the UNGA crisis is always being manipulated by the political class every election year to gain political mileage, but he regretted that it is distasteful to gain political capital out of the suffering of the vulnerable without offering solutions. The partnership between the corporate citizen and the political class must benefit the people of the republic, and if it breeds misery like the high price of maize every election year, then the voter has a duty to to put an end to it, Uhuru said. The president spoke in an address to the nation from the State House. This comes as Uhuru announced fiscal measures focused on food subsidy, covering the supply and distribution of the nation's most staple food. Uhuru announced that a productive meeting with millers had resolved that a 2 kg pack of unga will now retail at 100 Kenya shillings, down from 200. It's not even 200, it's over 200 for those who have been buying maize meal. And in one of the latest defenses of his tenure, Uhuru hailed his past interventions to cushion Kenyans against the high cost of living and asked them to join problem solvers and not mourners. Every election in this country has attracted UNGA crisis. In fact, there seems to be an engineered connection between elections and the high prices of UNGA, he said. There is an obvious trend between the manner the price of UNGA goes up and the tempo taken by the election in July 2012, months before the 2013 elections. The price of 2 kg of UNGA shot up from 70 to 130, and in 2017, 3 months to the election, the price of UNGA shot up to an unprecedented high of 129. This was used as the fuel that powered the ambitions of certain members of the political class, Uhuru said. And who can forget that maize that came from Mexico in a record time of 2 days, was it, or less than, I don't know. But the politics of UNGA. Status of Gladwell Kiragu. President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday rebuking his deputy for turning this crisis into a political tool.
Thank you so much, Miriam. I'll be short and brief. I'm having a terrible sore throat. And, Miriam, I don't know what is always there with the election, and not only UNGA, but sometimes when we are almost near elections, food is hiked up, and most of the UNGA, as you have Before yesterday, the president made the public address that UNGA has to, actually the price has to be lowered. Before then, there were, let's say, it was there, and that is when the propaganda started that they're using UNGA actually to wajipigie dembe na UNGA, and that is something that has been there, Miriam. But again, Miriam, the question that we are still asking ourselves is, what happens after election, Miriam? Because at the same time, we are not even sure where our state is heading. I hope that the way the president said yesterday that UNGA has to go back to 100, that even after election, it will still remain the same. Because, Miriam, we can't gamble with the Kenyan people the way they want, because, UNGA in most homes, it is the most cooked meal. Again, Miriam, I want to thank some supermarket like Naivas. Naivas this morning, actually UNGA was a 90 bob to 99 bob. So they have actually obeyed the rule. And with the Ruto, he said that is when he brought the propaganda and the PR of, let's call it UNGA politics. And he said that they're using it to campaign for the Azimio team and the Jubilee team. That is what he said the president is doing. But again, Miriam, you remember a while back, Ruto said that when his team, that is the UDA, gets into position, they'll make sure that the food price is lowered. So I don't see why he should be having an issue with it. Or is it that he's feeling bad because the government, which actually is part of, it has lowered the UNGA without his, maybe they never consulted assaulted him. So let's not bring food, actually to make food. That is what will make Kenyans tear apart, because at the end of it all, Miriam, food has to be taken in each and every home. At the end of it all, food actually, we have to make, our government has to make sure that every family can actually afford a meal. So that's a check to Uhuru Kenyatta, and we are praying and hoping that even after election, the price of unga will still remain the same, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much, Douglas Kirimi. The politics of unga. I think you can do whatever, like you can go about your politics and do all these things, and we see our politicians do. But when you get to touching on something that really is the heart of a lot of Kenyan families, then you are courting a lot of problems. And unga is just one of those things you don't bring politics into. Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. I'm afraid that William Ruto is losing his memory. I thought his memory is very sharp, but William Ruto's kind of memory is that of a con man, a person that cons you today emotionally, financially, and socially, makes sure that even your friends desert you after he has conned you in a group of people. And then at the end of the day, pretends that he has forgotten that he has stolen from you. He wants to con you again. In July 2017, William Ruto was accusing the Right Honorable Raila Odinga of politicizing the prices of unga when unga was 90 bob, at Kenya shillings, 90 shillings. And then William Ruto never found a problem with that, because he wanted to be re-elected together with the President Uhuru Kenyatta. Because he wanted a ticket for Jubilee people and Jubilee coalition of that time, or the one big monolith Jubilee party to be elected into power in 2017. In July 2017, the politics of unga to William Ruto were not, it was not about politicizing the lives and also the livelihood of the people of Kenya. In 2022, July, 5 years later or 4 years later, William Ruto is on TV lamenting that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Azimio team are campaigning using the politics of unga. And I have this question to William Ruto. In 2017, did you not democratically choose to campaign on the platform of the 90 shilling unga? In 2022, whoever chooses to campaign on the politics of 100 shillings unga, have they not democratically chosen to do so like you did in 2017? These questions we need to ask William Ruto and Kaa. We need to ask them, and they need also to come out clearly and tell us, we the people of Kenya do not matter in this matrix that they were selling in 2017. The same manifesto that William Ruto is selling today is a version of what was sold in 2013 and 2017. William Ruto has not come up with something new. In 2017, July, was it politics that you are campaigning with and also accusing others of using politics of unga? I think even the people of Kenya, even if it's politics, we have to be very honest this morning. Let the people enjoy, even if it's for 3 weeks, even if it's for 1 week. I've said, even if that price goes down for 3 days, let the people enjoy where it lasts, Miriam. Because at the end of the day, people like William Ruto will never cause an alarm to the people of Kenya. People have also come to realize the kind of a person that William Ruto is and the kind of a thought pattern that he represents as a leader and as a politician. For William Ruto, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and Kenya Kwanza as a presidential candidate, please, you prepared your tomatoes, it's about time you ate them. Because at the end of the day, you cannot purport to have saved the lives of the people of Kenya in July 2017, but in 2022, because it is not you who is spearheading the same campaign, William Ruto, it is wrong, it is unethical, it is out of place and actually misplaced according to your thinking. William Ruto, when the shoe is on the other leg, it hurts very much. At the end of the day, if the people of Kenya have to enjoy the 100 shillings subsidy unga, let them enjoy, let them take it after campaigns. If it goes back to 250, William Ruto, even 2017, it didn't stuck at 90 shillings forever. William Ruto, it's about time you blessed other people's campaign strategies. It is also very important for you to realize that this country does not revolve around you. This country has even people like Professor Wajakoya who want to export marijuana to solve our debts and also grow our economy. We have people like Moraa, who is a bishop, a lawyer, a man of integrity, who can even take the reins of power in this country. And people like the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, this country does not revolve around you, William Ruto, and this country can move even without your touch and even without your input, Dr. William Ruto. About 10 years ago, you came to the fore as a deputy president. What can you write home rather than defiance and also ignoring whatever the president was doing around the country, but also push the same when it was convenient for you? When you're in Mount Kenya, you tell the people we've built roads, we've brought electricity, we've brought everything that you can do to be able to, you have done everything that you can do to better the lives of the people of Kenya. When you get to Mombasa, you want to reverse the policies of the same very government that you have served for 10 years as a deputy president. Please, Dr. William Ruto, it's about time you took on your tomatoes and ate them. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now, in addition to the removal of the duty and levies on imported white maize, Uhuru, who described this as the fifth subsidy, also suspended the 2% railway development levy, RDL, on all imported maize. Import declaration fee, IDF, which is charged at 2% of the customs value, has also been suspended. So some of these measures is what will ensure that the price of maize is down, of course, on top of the other subsidy that the government has given. Samuel Tawish, your thoughts on this, the politics of UNGA, every electioneering period?
Thank you so much, Miriam, and much accolades, of course, to my colleagues who have made their submissions on this very, very important topic. Miriam, I'm going to attempt to be subjective as possible because this is something that touches to the core and the heart of the people of Kenya, including myself. The issue of the skyrocketing cost of living and the high cost of basic commodities, Miriam. It is something that is touching every household in this country, regardless of your class, and most of those who live below the poverty line, Miriam. Because people today are struggling even to put a single meal on their table. And when President Uhuru Kenyatta makes such kind of a gesture, I think we must laud him because, again, what is the essence of a government? I mean, we've gotten to a level that the president had to make such kind of measures, had to go to the extent of even meeting the stakeholders and striking a balance, striking a compromise for the betterment of the livelihood of the people of Kenya. I think it is very, very welcome. The most important thing and the message that I think from President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday during that presser is that we must then be very careful to avoid or actually to avoid the politics of hypocrisy, politics that seeks to just gain political capital and mileage out of the suffering of the people of Kenya. Because today, Miriam, you really struggle to understand why would a whole deputy president who's serving in the same government come out and criticize such a very positive gesture coming from the same government that is serving. The people of Kenya have been suffering when it comes to the prices of basic commodities. The prices of unga have gone to the unprecedented high levels. The prices of fuel, for example, even the cooking fat, the prices of course, soaps and every other thing, Miriam, has really gone up. It's become unbearable to the ordinary Mwananchi. And therefore, the only honorable thing Deputy President William Ruto should have done is to come and support President Uhuru Kenyatta in his push to try and alleviate the pain that Kenyans are going through by seeing into it what kind of views, what kind of advice, what kind of new approaches the Jubilee government, which is serving, will be able to engage to see into it that the people of Kenya can be lightened of the burden of the high cost of living instead of politicking and wanting to take the political mileage out of this particular situation, Miriam. And therefore, the message that is getting, and every Kenyan of goodwill really got from President Uhuru Kenyatta's presser and announcement yesterday is that we are in an electioneering period. We must therefore be very, very careful about the leaders we are going to put into office come the 9th of August, assuming that election is going to take place. Because again, I've heard you read the newspaper headline that there could be a possibility of a postponement or a deferment of this election owing to several other factors that are emerging. But again, Miriam, what is it that the people of Kenya are learning from this? Because we want individuals of integrity, people who can live by their word. We can take them seriously by what they say, people who are going to bring a permanent solution to this crisis that you are having. How come, like President Kenyatta said, is it a coincidence that when we are towarding election every other time, we get that there's always a high cost of living? The prices of unga go to unprecedented high levels like today, as late as yesterday, Miriam. the prices of unga was going to over 210. So you can just imagine how come that this is has become more like a tradition. It has become more like a norm in the Kenyan community that the prices of basic commodities and unga, for that matter, which is a stable maize flour, which is a staple food for the Kenyan population, goes high every time we get into an election. Many of there are people who are taking advantage of this, including perhaps even the millers themselves, who are taking advantage and maybe being used by some politicians to see into it how they can destabilize governments or how they can disrupt the whole political scenario to their advantage. But the message that you are taking home, Miriam, we want people who are going to give us permanent solutions, because if it's about reducing the taxes or the levies, for example, on the millers, or even making sure that the farmers get enough subsidies from government, fertilizer and other farm inputs, and making sure that they get seed at the right time, and supporting our farmers in this country, or even carrying out very serious projects like, for example, reviving the Galana Pulalu projects, Miriam, then we'll be getting a permanent solution, so that every other election year in year, or anyone will not take advantage of such kinds of situation to try and perpetuate their politics of a division and gain political mileage out of this situation. So I think, and I join other Kenyans in thanking President Uhuru Kenyatta for that. And one person who was really struggling to put a bill on the table by virtue of that price, Miriam, 200 plus for a 2 kg packet of maize meal. But good news that you've heard from Gladwell that one of the outlets, that is supermarkets, has already reduced the prices to less than 100. Is it not good news? Not only to myself, but I think to all Kenyans who have been struggling to do this. So we must support President Uhuru Kenyatta, but the message home, we must be very careful on whom we are going to put into office. Deputy President William Ruto has proved to us that he's a man whom you cannot trust with his promises. I remember Douglas Kigame has put it very well. In the run-up to 2013, I remember him promising us that a 2 kg packet of maize meal will go for as little as 60 Kenya shillings. And today it is going to over 200 shillings. He was promising us that you will get posters indicating, or banners or billboards, that the jobs are available. How many people have gotten jobs from the promises that the deputy president has been making? So for him, we've known him as a serial liar, a person whom we cannot take seriously for whatever kind of promises or pledges he makes to the people of Kenya. We must be very careful. Thank you, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, the cost of living right now comes on a backdrop of so many other factors, COVID-19 pandemic, and then there are issues to do with climate change. Even countries that our millers used to buy extra maize from, like Uganda, Tanzania, are now on a begging bowl. Tanzania right now does not have enough maize itself. It's getting its maize from Zambia. So that has really disrupted this ecosystem. And it's not just a Kenyan thing as we speak. And while millers are still concerned about the availability of maize from the local market, the government insists there are individuals holding the cereal to create an artificial shortage and benefit from it. I don't know. This even borders matters of morality. I don't know. I know you have to, but how? Because the government, by the time the government is saying this, of course, it has credible information. There are few individuals who are holding maize so that Kenyans suffer. By the time they're able to sell this, they're able to maximize on their profits, and they're able to sleep very well at night. Chevan Karanja, the politics of unga. Jevan?
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam, and the people on the panel. It's a pleasure being here this morning. And on the issue of unga and the politics around the unga, I think it's something that needs to be looked critically and decided the government brings on board permanent solution to this issue. Let us not be using the issue of unga as a political tool for some politician to gain political mileage. In 2017, we had the same problem. In 2022, we have the same problem.
2013
and
as
in
well.
Future,
2013 as well, and I remember I was young. In 1992, we also had the same problem. I remember, but I was a bit young. Yeah.
This has been a chronic problem, and we anticipate in future, in 2027, we have the same occurrence. I think it is high time the government brings on board permanent solution to this issue of unga, because we can't be leaving Kenyans to suffer. The vulnerable to go without food for days. Then when we are just few days to the election, we bring the subsidy and so that they can afford unga and have some energy to go and vote. I think that should not be the case. We need to have a permanent solution. And that is why I feel, as Kenyans, we need to vote in leaders who have shown consistency in matters leadership, who have shown consistent in matter championing for the interest of Monanchi. And those are the leaders who can give us the solution to this issue. Those are the leaders who can bring to court, to the rule of law, who can take these people, the cartels in the maize industry, to court. These are people who can ensure that the farmers in the Rift Valley and across the country will get profits from the labor that they do in their farms. That is the only way we can ensure we have food secure country. We have seen leaders who have eaten money that was set aside for the Kulalu project, for the Arol and Kimorel dams and other projects that could have made this country food secure. Therefore, it is high time the government that will come to make sure that the Big Four agenda of food security that President Uhuru Kenyatta was so passionate about is put into consideration, and it should be the number one priority, Miriam. The issue of health, the issue of education, the issue of infrastructure cannot overrule the issue of food security. You cannot go to school when you're hungry. You cannot even attend to patients as a doctor when the cost of living is too high. You are stressed. You cannot even afford to buy petroleum when you don't have food. I think it's high time we put our priorities right and make sure that our Kenyans, before everything else, we can afford food, because food is part of the basic needs that we need as a people. If we can afford food, medium, we can afford food, medium, we can as well fight other diseases that are associated with lack of sufficient or lack of enough food, lack of proteins. Especially when you go to the semi-arid areas, you'll find that majority of the kids that are going to this hospital suffer from diseases that are related to imbalanced diet. Therefore, at the end of the day, if we don't deal with the issue of food security, other factors of life will continue affecting us as a country. That is why I feel as we go to this election, let Kenyans make a wiser decision. Let's vote for leaders who have a track record in safeguarding the interest of our farmers, in safeguarding the interest and the well-being of all Kenyans. That is the only way we can solve this problem. Mm-hmm. But as it is now, Miriam, this is just politics. But I agree with President Uhuru Kenyatta intervention at this moment, because at the end of the day, he has salvaged the situation. But we need a more concrete solution on this issue.
Mm-hmm. And also a government agency. Thank you so much, Evan Karanja. A government agency like the NCPB, the National Cereals and Produce Board, it has to put measures in place. The government must be intentional, especially the next coming government, whoever that person will be. They must be intentional by ensuring that they buy the maize from our farmers on time, and our farmers don't have to suffer after they've gone through the planting and the harvesting, and then they find a lot of hurdles for their maize to be bought at the NCPB. We must ensure that our farmers, their maize are given the first priority, to ensure that we don't have a lot of that go to waste, to ensure that our reserves have enough. So even if we run out, it will be perhaps towards the close to the next harvest. I know right now we are close to the next harvest, but there has to be some intentionality in how even NCPB is run, because the way it is right now is not working for the Kenyan farmers, and eventually it's not working for the rest of us. So something needs to be done in that. Samuel Kiptanui, your thoughts on these new subsidies? And I don't know why DP, because of course the information leaked a couple of days ago that the government was looking to introduce these subsidies, and we started hearing politics around this. But this is not new. They did the same thing in 2017. So why is it making so much noise, and why is this being turned into a tool of politics? Even we know politics has a lot to do with it anyway.
Thank you, Miriam. Miriam, as I said earlier that I come out, I also have a graphical map of these sites where they are planting this maize. Allow me to be short and brief. Miriam, whatever my co-panelists have put across is right. Look here, Miriam. In 2009, after the formation of Grand coalition government, who was given the Ministry for Agriculture? William Ruto. He was even grilled. He was even taken to the task in Parliament to explain why the NCCP cannot even buy farmers' maize. There is this analogy, Miriam, and there is this thing, Miriam, that people in North believe that William Ruto is not even farming maize. But Miriam, Koilil company is owned by William Ruto and his proxy. This is the company that you saw the last time was accused of supplying a lot of maize to NCCP, and yet they are not farming this maize. There is another lady who cheated us that she prayed so much that God gave us the tender to supply. No, let us leave that one for cancer. My son too, US gave me money, I farm. When the people went to investigate, there is nowhere he's farming. Miriam, there is. I want to applaud the president of this Republic of Kenya. There is a problem, Miriam, whereby these people are creating artificial shortage of maize. There are a lot of maize in North Rift. But Miriam, in November after harvesting this maize, farmers, they sell it at a throwaway price. This cartels, they just go to NCCB, tell them buy at this price. Immediately you've actually given out your maize to NCCB, Miriam. The prices comes down. Then after there is no the NCCB has actually closed the buying of this maize, they create artificial shortage of maize so that these guys can import this maize. That is why one of the presidential contestants is so bitter, because maybe he was planning, now that the price has hyped to 210, let me now import my maize, because he has been accused of farming in Congo. So I think there are mechanisms that we will need to put this to work. One, Miriam, is that let us end NCCB live. Let us go into these stores that NCCB, let this guy go to these stores that NCCB are saying we don't have maize. Miriam, millers, why do you think millers? A miller cannot come to your area and tell you, Miriam, can you bring this maize to my company so that I buy it? Well, when it is over, it is over. But you see, these people are creating this artificial shortage of maize, so that when they import this maize, they sell at a high price. So this gentleman is so bitter because he has been cornered. He is known. He has been cornered. That is why he's saying blah 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 blah. You say the other time, and you see, he has been using this as a campaign. So he has been cornered. Nabado will be still being cornered. There is somewhere he's also been going to fix. You see, yesterday Taita Taveta talking of other things, telling people if you come on a receipt here, shamba later young. Why is it that, Miriam, you see that I'm being targeted? Look here, when we were growing at the slopes of Mau in Serengoni Forest in Nandi, when our mother actually puts some meat in Jiku, even. So we could go there, you just open and steal one. But you know, she has not seen you stealing. She has not even counted the number of pieces of meat in that Korea. But when she comes back after serving, she says, no, it seems there is something wrong. It seems somebody has just come and picked some meat here. Miriam, what did you say? See Mimi, and she has not asked you whether you are the one who has done one, who has stolen that one. So there is a problem and we must fix it. And we know the center of all these things is only one person. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, as Ajevan Karanja there earlier on, thank you, Kiptanui, earlier on reiterated that food security is something that the next coming government must treat with the importance and the urgency that it requires. We cannot continue as if it's business as usual. That is something that has to be addressed. And that's why I said here yesterday, just listening to that debate of the running mates on Tuesday. For me, I was disappointed because the things that I was hoping they will talk about, including food security and how they plan to address that issue, that did not come up. But maybe the moderators did not bring it up, but I don't know. So I was disappointed that the issues that I was looking for them to discuss was not discussed. All right, corruption is in the heart of all this, so maybe, I don't know. But just before we jump on to the topic, The government plans to end fuel subsidies by year end, which could see motorists pay higher prices for a litre of super petrol. The International Monetary Fund said the National Treasury has committed to doing away with the subsidy by October. The IMF, in a new report, noted that retaining the subsidy could continue to be a costly affair for the government, which would spend 119 billion Kenya shillings in the current financial year. This is 19 billion Kenya shillings more than what it had planned to spend. So the subsidy has cushioned Kenyans from high pump prices since April last year, with the government having so far spent 101 billion Kenya shillings. So let's just leave that matter of high cost of living right there and get into the politics of IEBC. The Independent, that is on page 8 on the Standard newspaper, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, now says it may be forced to push forward the elections if it has to include gospel singer Reuben Kigame on the presidential ballot paper. At the same time, IEBC argues that it will spend an additional 971 million Kenya shillings to reprint the ballot paper and reconfigure 55,650 KM's kits. In its appeal against High Court decision requiring it to reconsider Kigame's academic papers and collected signatures, the agency faulted Justice Anthony Mrima, saying Mr. Kigame only submitted 1,013 signatures against required 48,000. But I guess the court the other day ruled that the signatures was not really a requirement, but now IEBC is saying they should reconsider that. The list of supporters referred by the court has not been presented to the commission, nor has it been analyzed to determine whether the listed nominating supporters meet the prescribed numbers and are registered voters as required, said Mr. Chebukati. I think he's just digging a deeper hole for him, because even when he was requiring these presidential candidates to give this the names of their supporters and their IDs, the register had not been cleared yet. All right, we were operating by the older register. So why did these even presidential candidates get these names against which register? Because at that time the KPMG, cleaned register had not come out. So that is another problem that IEBC is hoping to open the door for it. I don't know. But according to Wafula Chebukati-led commission, it is possible to effect the changes because the required money can only be available after 30 days, yet the polls are only 18 days away. Justin Mrima said there is need for the parliament to enact a law that enables persons with disabilities to fully participate in politics. The judge, however, rejected Kigame's prayer to compel IEBC to have him on the ballot. According to the judge, this would amount to overstretching the court's mandate. The judge says it is only IEBC that can decide whether he will be on the ballot or not. So IEBC went ahead and printed this presidential ballot papers, knowing well and good there was a case in court that could have changed, the names on that ballot. But he went ahead, Chebukati and his commission went ahead and did it anyway. And now look at what we have to deal with today. Gladu.
Miriam, about IEBC, I actually have no much to say. And we have always been saying about this song, IEBC, they are putting this country into a mess, Miriam. Miriam, can they postpone the election that they are saying? Because, so much resources have been put into this thing. Now they're saying that they'll have to reprint the ballot, for instance, if they have to add Kagame, whereby they are going to spend a lot, say 171 million. For Christ's sake, that money, I think, should be put somewhere else where that money is needed. Miriam, IEBC is not ready to hold elections and they will just actually mess it up. Can they push this election whereby they will be ready and whereby the IEBC, they can actually hold everybody who want to run for whatever position you wish? Because Miriam, there's no way we can be putting some people out and others in. No, it won't work that way. And this brings back the case of Mwangi area of what happened and some others. So Miriam, this thing of IEBC, I think the high time, even as Kenyans, we wake up and realize that IEBC will mess us up. And as the way my brother was saying that some people have not healed and it's actually a trigger. We don't want the same thing. IEBC suspend the election till you are ready to accommodate everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Douglas, Kirimi, IEBC knew there was a possibility it will be required to have more names on the presidential ballot papers, but it went ahead and printed these papers. I think they did that on the 15th of this month, despite of the court ruling that had been made earlier. So why are they complaining?
Miriam, thank you. Thank you for that question. I think from my perspective and also from the way I see things, the qualms and the whims that Chebukati is throwing around, and also the letters that he's writing, and everything that Chebukati is doing today, Miriam, those are tantrums of a dying horse. And also Chebukati knew 2 years ago that he's not technically prepared to handle this election. So he had to bring a lot of loopholes along the way, such that this election will hold in the next 18 days or 17 days. After it holds, then the courts or any other person can go to court, including myself, who has been dissatisfied by the conduct of Mr. Wafula Chebukati, a lawyer who understands the law, but does not uphold the rule of law. Remember, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, over 2 years ago, Miriam, we have repeated, like Gradual Keragwa said, we've repeated this 101 times, 1,001 times, that Wafula Chebukati and the commission that he led, that this commission is not prepared for this election, and they're just gobbling money in form of kickbacks. They're just sinking billions of taxpayers' money and millions of dollars from donors so that they can continue running a shoddy commission that does not serve the interest, the aspirations, and also the goals of the people of Kenya. To have a peaceful Kenya, to have leaders after every 5 years. The questions that the questions that were raised in court in 2017, IEBC has not committed to some of them. Some of them they said were supposed to have dealt through parliamentary action, but IEBC itself has never pronounced itself apart from clarifying that these issues should have been dealt with through a parliamentary action. And also, when you look at Wafula Chebukati and the way that commission is presenting the issues to the people of Kenya, Miriam, it is not right at all to the people of Kenya. After coming from 2007, 2008, towards 2013, towards 2017, we've walked a journey as a country, Miriam. We've walked a journey as a people. We've walked a journey, and Mr. Wafula Chebukati is at the center of the mess we see at IEBC today. And when Miriam Wafula Chebukati is accused of misusing the taxpayers' money and donors, and also the goodwill the people of Kenya have placed on him, even after bungling an election in 2017, that the courts, the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya, declared null and void and also called for a repeat election. The following, after 2 months, the people of Kenya went to elections again and elected President Uhuru Kenyatta, that the main opposition leaders boycotted. Main opposition supporters are boycotted. And also, when you look at the way IEBC has conducted itself, Miriam, it leaves nothing to write up home about. And also, there's nothing that is inspiring hope to the people of Kenya. There is nothing that is inspiring hope for the people of Kenya that the aspirations and dreams and hopes will be represented at the ballot in the next 18 days, Miriam. The people of Kenya are at a point between a hard place and a rock, that the people are going to vote for leaders that they want, but Wafula Chebukati is going to give them the wrong leaders. In 2017, I was in the opposition. We believed that the opposition had won the elections, and Wafula Chebukati gave us the wrong leaders, Miriam. We believe that computers were manipulated. We believe there is a software that was inserted at the servers of IEBC that could manipulate elections at 54% across the country. And what stops me, Miriam, of thinking the same in 2022? 5 years later, the commission, the IEBC with all the goodwill and every other thing that we have placed at the table for the IEBC to deliver a free, credible, and a transparent election, Mr. Wafula Chebukati does not inspire hope, does not inspire progress for us to see that this is the much we have made progress and how prepared we are. Mr. Wafula Chebukati for the last 2 years has been moving around with the people, collecting kickbacks through proxies, and also Miriam, making sure that this country does not stand for a free, fair, and credible election. elections without credibility and legitimacy in this country, Miriam, are going to be nullified by courts. If they're not going to be nullified by courts, leaders are going to call for mass action in this country, Miriam. In the next 19 days, I believe Wafula Chebukati has prepared himself for the problems that he is going to court in this country, Miriam. Because I do not understand. I do not wrap my mind around the thought that Wafula Chebukati thinks that picking bribes is bigger than the interests, dreams, and aspirations of the people of Kenya. Remember, Wafula Chebukati is even outgrowing the interest, the national pride of the people of Kenya, their right to vote. The right to vote is enshrined in the Constitution. The right to vote is our right. Like we're supposed to go and vote for leaders that we want, and Wafula Chebukati is supposed to make sure.
Okay, we seem to have suffered a bit of a technical hitch from your part, Douglas. When you're able to conclude your thought, then we will have you back. Samuel Tawish, IEBC now says it may be forced to push forward elections if it has to include gospel singer Reuben Kigame on the presidential ballot paper.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Just joining my fellow correspondent. Miriam, I'm one person who is not at all amused by the happenings, of course, coming from the IEBC. I'm not inspired, neither am I persuaded that
we go and vote in a free, credible.
Douglas, you hung there for quite a moment, so we had moved on. Are you back? Sorry, Tawish. Lost him again. Okay, Tawish, apologize for that. Go ahead.
Okay, Miriam. I was just basically saying that I'm one person who is not inspired, neither am I persuaded that IEBC is prepared adequately to handle this coming election on the 9th of August this year. Miriam, IEBC has been engaging us in lackluster, in what appears to be incompetence and ineptness, especially coming from the chair, that is Wafula Chebukati. And I hold the view, I remember for the last about 3 or so years that IEBC was not adequately prepared to conduct this election. And you remember the protest that we had in 2017, or soon after that election, you could clearly see, and the NASA Brigade coming out and saying there are irreducible minimums that they wanted IEBC really to address. But after the handshake, we haven't quite seen so much push and effort in terms of trying to put IEBC into shape. And I think there was also time we are giving suggestions and recommendations that we do not just necessarily need to have patch-ups of the IEBC, but a total overhaul, because Miriam, as we speak today, it appears we do not have quite a synergy or a working synergy amongst the commissioners, even at the IEBC. We have the commissioners who are just put into office about a couple of months ago. I don't think they've really had time to synchronize with the secretariat and the commissioners themselves, including the chair of the IEBC. And therefore, that puts to question the preparedness of the IEBC to handle this particular election. This election, Miriam, is very, very critical. It's something that we must just not take it as easy as it looks. Because again, Miriam, if we handle this election so casually, then we'll have ourselves to blame. And Wafula Chebukati must be informed that whatever kind of things or a mess he wants to create for this country, the people of Kenya are not ready really to face the mess that IEBC wants to put them in. We want IEBC to come out very clear and make it in no and clear terms to Kenyans that they are prepared or not prepared to handle this election. Because again, going into this election just for the sake of it, or just because we want to meet timelines, will not serve, will not be in the best interest of the people of Kenya. Because, Miriam, this election must be credible, this election must be fair, and it must be seen to be so. This election must be beyond reproach. And the only way this can happen, Miriam, you can see the high-octane politics that is being played by the politicians, especially the presidential candidates, and not even to mention other contestants in various other positions, Miriam. So you can imagine if you have IEBC, which is not prepared or which is ill-prepared to handle this election, then we might as well have so many court cases, if not violence like my other correspondents have mentioned. So how then can we be able to avoid this? IEBC must come out to the public and tell the people of Kenya that we are not prepared to have this election. We must consider maybe deferring this election for a period of 3 or so months instead of forcing us to go into an election that has the potential to cause bloodshed and the loss of lives and properties of the innocent civilians in this country. You have gone through very ugly scenes in the past. You remember 2007, 2013 somehow, and 2017, Miriam, after the general election. We are not prepared to go that route again, and IEBC is the body that should actually guarantee Kenyans that they are prepared or not prepared, so that we have enough time for them to put their house in order. We have enough time for them to reprint the ballots as they are putting it. Because again, what is a billion Kenya shillings, Miriam, if I may ask? You wouldn't quite compare. A billion Kenya shillings to losing even a single life. So to me, it will rather go the route of incurring an extra cost in terms of deferring this election instead of forcing Kenyans to go into an election that people are ready or could actually protest the outcome of it. So it lies squarely with IEBC, but Kenyans should be on the watch out and also compel IEBC because they are working with the trust of Kenyans. If people of Kenya do not have confidence or trust in IEBC to oversee this election, then they must petition this electoral commission to consider deferring this election up until they are ready and they are ready to conduct this election. Miriam, I submit.
Very well, thank you, Tawish. Javad Karanja.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. I think we are still discussing on the issue of the IEBC and its preparedness.
Yes, IEBC, and now it says if it is compelled to put Kigame on the ballot, then that might mean for the IEBC to push the elections forward.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. And I think we have said this a number of times that the IEBC need to prepare and prepare adequately for this election. But it has failed to meet the requirement accordingly, even from what we advised in 2017 to be in 2007 to be preparing for an election 1 year prior to the election to make sure that everything that needs to be done is put in the right way. The way they did the issue of presidential candidates and their preparedness, Miriam, the way some candidates were given an upper hand is something that maybe will haunt IEBC as we move on. Now you have seen Kigame has been complied by the court to be added on the list of presidential candidates. That means if the IEBC has already kickstarted the printing of presidential ballot papers, they will stop and wait and restart again. That means more resources are needed to do that job. And at the end of the day, Miriam, if bearing in mind the limited time, the option that remains is to suspend this election until everything is sorted out. And I think that should be the best option because we don't want to go for an election. Then after the election is done, the court continues to say that someone so-and-so would have been in the ballot. I don't know what the law says on such kind of a scenario, but I'm quite sure this, because we are not yet at the election, if we can comply with the law and add Kigame in the list, then the best option now remains is to extend the time for preparedness of this election until everything is done in the right order. And I think that, Miriam, that is the only option that stands for now. But we are waiting to see how Wafula Chebukati will react to that. But at the end of the day, Miriam, from where I see, if Chebukati is seriously with this election, he needs to maybe to get some more time to prepare adequately. We don't want to go for a very unprepared thing that will cause this country a lot of pain, a lot of havoc, and a lot of bad memories. That is not the kind of the country that we want for the next 5 years. We want a country where we will continue working on the fundamental issues that touch on the common Wanjiko, the fundamental issues that touch on our welfare as a country. But we cannot do that when we have a government that was installed without following the right procedure. That is why I feel like something needs to be done, and at the time of Chebukati stepped out and faced the lion, the elephant in the room, and cast it by its horn, so that we can go for this election prepared and ready, and he must be ready to give Kenyans credibility in this election. That is the minimum that we want from Wafula Chebukati. And if he is not ready for that, he needs to wait until he is ready so that we can go for this election. All of us prepared to face and to have free, fair elections. That is the minimum that we can ask from Wafula Chebukati.
Okay, thank you so much, Kiptanui Sivania. Still on the same matter before we cross over to Doc. Chebukati is saying we can't have Kigame, otherwise we might need to push these elections forward.
Thank you, Miriam. Miriam, I will be short and brief, and I want to applaud what my brothers and sisters and my sister on the panel have said. Miriam, Chebukati is a lawyer. What was the reason for Chebukati rushing to bring these ballot papers? I stated earlier that because of these kickbacks. Now, Miriam, we let us not teach the bush and Chebukati. Let us not say Chebukati. If we are going to include the name of Paul Kigame, it will take us another time to bring this. No, there is no excuse like that, Miriam. The law is very clear. There are timelines there are always timelines in law. The time frame between the time you are supposed to bring the ballot papers, between the time you are supposed to take people to verify, to check, and to bring them back to this country. So let the Chebukati not beat the bush, Miriam. And today in the morning, when I saw that headline, I was asking myself, could the wife of Chebukati have seen something? Because she recently asked for prayers. Miriam, you cannot mess up the country and come up and say, pray for us. Your husband is messing up this country. Miriam, yesterday I was in Molo, and I have stated a lot of fear that people have. Miriam, can you see what is happening in Kisi? If IEBC cannot even recruit their clerks, their presiding officers, their returning officers with a lot of fairness, Miriam, somebody applies as a clerk because they have a portal. You apply, you are not shortlisted. Miriam, you are not called for interview. Somebody comes who has not even applied. You know, Miriam, down at the village level, people know each other. So somebody has not applied. He has not even attended interview. But Miriam, he has been given the job. That is what is happening around the Kisi. And those are pilot things. Those are signs of violence, Miriam. And I don't know whether the people are seeing what I am seeing. Miriam, the violence is not going to come from politicians being drowned, but violence is going to be engineered and being steered by Chebukati. Miriam, there are only two things I want to say so that I hand over to you. One, let Chebukati postpone these elections. Let Chebukati be responsible. Let Chebukati pay that money that he has wasted. Let Chebukati be taken to jail. We cannot risk this country the way my brother Taruish and other co-panelists have said. We cannot take this country to the dogs. We still have post-election violence victims who have not killed the way I told you I was in Molo yesterday. We still have those who are still in camps. They have not been compensated. Recently, you saw Miriam, I shared a clip with Dakar. People are demonstrating in this town that no compensation, no elections. Because choices. These elections will be nullified. If we cannot put Mr. Kigame as the law has said, it will be nullified. So we are supposed to choose. Are we going to these elections so that it can be nullified, or we rectify these problems as soon as possible? Thank you, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. And we are joined right now by Dr. David Matanga. Doctor, if you can hear me, very good morning to you. You're muted.
Yeah. Good morning, all of you. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Miriam?
We are okay.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I would have joined much earlier, but because of a few other commitments. First, on the question of elections, I left you people to haggle it, and I believe you have haggled it out. I had a bit of Karanja saying exactly that. Just be open and blunt. Cancel it. I told you, it is already done. You see the background. The first court has said, this man, first the court has said, the signatures are not important. So even if you take Mr. Wachikoya, Mr. Raila Odinga, Mr. Ruto, and then the other guy, even if they go to court, they use the wrong signatures. Are we reasoning here together? Nobody has appealed against the signatures. They used the wrong signatures to arrive on the ballot. So it is the same as saying, let's just go and tell me, why don't you stop it? Then go back, finish the whole mess. You can, you know, if it is serious that you should have a parliamentary election to show the constitution that you came from Angel Gabriel, you can as well now only elect MPs and the senators on that day and leave the presidential election later. If you say that God said that on 2nd of the 2nd July, that I, God, seated somewhere billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of miles, we don't know, that alikwambia tukue na elections siku ya Tuesday. Bas, wacha tuendelee on Tuesday with some MPs, all MPs and MCs elected. Lakini ya hii ya presidential, which needed signatures, which have already been disqualified. The signatures have already nullified. Now, how do you take Mr. Raila Amolo Odinga on nullified signatures, hold an election with Raila Odinga and William Ruto with nullified signatures, which the court says the signature is not important? Muniambie, it is as good as saying, I have done the exam, but I've failed. So when the report comes, Dad, don't beat me up. All of you on this panel who have children, you know, a child who has failed exam starts telling you good stories. I lie. Hey, man, maybe these days that teacher is very bad. The black one, no, then you ask which one? No, you remember the other one who was looking at me when you came to see me on the visiting day. Allah. These are some of the tricks we used to use myself. So God help me. So God help me. Honestly, my people, those are the tricks. Because I remember my mom, she's still alive. I became number 2. So I started telling my mom that, you know, there's that teacher who always doesn't like our family. And marked me number 2. Mom said, which teacher doesn't like the family? You are at this age, do you know whether he likes the family? You know, I didn't marry, so I had nothing else to tell Mom. Because I was fearing the Kens. I was fearing to, honestly, I used to be caned. Lakini. And the caning was very simple, Miriam. It came as a result of being number 2, not 1. The mom was asking, why were you not number 1? I said, Mom, please, these things were, there's a teacher there who has become a problem. Look, this election is like that. It's a mess. We know it. You Kenyans know it. You, the voters, know it. And I hope, Miriam, you have safeguarded your vote. You have checked again of yesterday that your name is still there. Because we might be doing things that are very, very, very bad. And we might not be able to redeem this country again. So for me, on elections, I'm sorry, Miriam. I say it. I will say it now. It was badly prepared, arranged, equipped. Logistics were not adequate. Cancel it. Postpone is not very good. Cancel it completely. And the constitution is very clear. If in case of an election, the only thing is that this election has not been conducted. But it looks like the court tomorrow will not also, the court will not overturn unless Chebukati is paying bribes to the judges. But it is a clear example that the man wanted to be on the ballot. The court will say, you find a way to put Mr. Kigame on the ballot. He had the grounds, very good grounds. And not Kigame alone, there were many people. Mr. Jeff Kirui was not even called. He took his documents. He was not called. He has a letter. That one has already started a petition. So whichever way you want, you are talking about, Miriam, the election will be a chaotic manner. It will be voted. Voters will come. So to secure this type of stupidity to get out, let's just cancel it and start afresh. Thank you.
Okay. And that's how we wind our show. That we've already talked about the rest of the issues, so we were almost.
One of the issues that you should have touched. I don't know you. Also, I was coming at the tail end.
Yeah, we are almost winding up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just give me a minute. There's one thing I had wanted to. The question of, I know you have touched the question of Ugali.
Yeah.
The Ugali.
Yes, we did.
And there's something I want to add here. Africa, we are never prepared. We never prepare ourselves. And we should not have reached here. Even President Uhuru Kenyatta should not entertain this. He should not have entertained this. He should have put people on notice. And the people to be put on notice would be the Minister of Agriculture, who is our favorite friend with Kigame, is our good friend called Munya. In any progressive democracy, Miriam, there is always progressive arrangement. For every progressive democracy, there is a progressive arrangement. How in Kenya, a country with a progressive democracy, fails to progressively arrange food, to have food on table. Yet we know hunger was going to come. We have data. And it showed us, we have meteorological department. It has showed us the patterns. We have had COVID-19. It showed us the patterns. We can manage COVID-19 and we fail to manage hunger. Hunger comes every year. Since I came to Kenya, this Red Cross man has been on TV. Hey, chakula, chakula, Miriam. How long could this chakula come from? Why can't the government think? Your Excellency, the President, you have done very well to give these concessions. But this should go far. You should go further than this, Your Excellency, to find out why people have concessions and then they run away from concessions later. Why? Why? Thank you. I just want to say, $900. Someone bought, Jeff can verify whether he's the one who bought the unga of 12 packets at 99 shillings. Did you buy those packets, Jeff? I've seen a receipt that he has sent it to me.
And also, I think, is it Gladwell confirmed to us that one of the local supermarkets she went to has already brought the price of the unga down. I think it was, she said Naivas or something, I'm not sure, but she could clarify that for us. So they've already...
Are you the one who sent Gladwell? Are you the one who sent the Naivas ticket?
No, she can't access
No, but it's Naivas currently. The unga is 90 to 99 bob at the moment.
Yeah.
So have you bought yours in preparation?
Not yet.
In case it goes away. In case it goes away, my dear sister, you better run and get 10 packets. Allah Akbar. Thank you very much, viewers. Next is we take a break. Is it at the top of the hour?
Yeah, we take a break and then we shall be coming back with another topic on the ICC and based on a story that was contained in one of the papers yesterday.
Okay. Thank you very much. Editor's memo comes.